Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So, we were discussing yesterday how market leaders are challenged, and we took two examples, the mobile telephone instrument, the mobile phone instrument, and how a new challenger like Apple changed the market structure and the framework, and all companies like Nokia or Samsung or Panasonic or LG, they had to come up with several features, and as a result of which this whole new generation of smartphones evolved. A new operating system, Android, came up, and therefore, now the battle that is going on is between one kind of platform. The Android has created a network. There are a number of manufacturers who use Android, and that is competing with another network, which is the iOS, the Apple operating system. And you see now it is like a kind of a battle between two sets of networks, because the phone per se, the instrument, has now become sort of less important compared to all the different kinds of applications that can ride on the phone, because the phone is now trying to compete. We do not know, tomorrow actually it may replace even computers. In fact, many of the functions that you did with your laptop can now be done on your smartphone. But you see how a challenger who comes with a new technology which is high risk, but as in case of Apple, can actually produce very high gain if that risky strategy is offering to customers superior value, and can alter the competition on both sides. And so, today it is happening is that there is one set of networked companies, companies who are cooperating as well as competing, because you see in the mobile phone they all use the same operating system, and therefore, many features they all offer together, and they all try to offer it in a with a little bit better way. And then on the other side we have a whole ecosystem around the Apple iOS. So, the Android ecosystem or network of companies are now competing with the iOS operating systems and that operating system based app producing companies. And now some of the app producers have started producing apps with both versions. So, somebody actually wrote an interesting article saying that the competition in future will not be product versus product, but network versus network. They called it, I think that particular author called it spider versus spider, you know, the spider's network. But in general, the market challenger strategy classically has been a high risk, high gain strategy, and a search for a sustainable competitive advantage compared to the market leader. So, this is the difference between the market leader strategy, which is retention, protection, holding on to market share oriented, versus the market challenger who is coming from a zero state perhaps and is playing a high stake game. Today in many different markets, the frontal attack of the market leaders, as has been done in case of mobile services in India by Reliance Jio, or in the phone industry by Apple, the frontal attack can be executed only by companies with deep pockets, meaning companies with very high level of resources, because it will be quite expensive to persuade the customers to move away. Of course, if you are genuinely offering something better, then once the customers start moving, it can become a wave and it can change the industry altogether. But market challenger strategy often is executed by companies who try to look at their immediate vicinity. So, in their own geography, or companies which are smaller size. So, that happens, the market challenger then uses techniques like mergers and acquisitions, and they try to basically compete and destroy the weaker competitors and expand the market share. Now, remember, this is the market challenger strategy can often be a good strategy when the market is in a high growth mode. This may not be a very good strategy when actually the market has matured. So, in the market when it has matured, we have another type of competitive strategy which we call the market follower. What the market followers do, and you can see it how the Japanese did it so well. When the Japanese started manufacturing cars, they were following a long list of dominant US car manufacturers. But these Japanese companies primarily focused on operational excellence. They made their operations so efficient, so effective. They came up with this fantastic combination which earlier people thought was not possible, which is high quality. Usually we associated high quality with high price, but they came up with high quality cars with low price. They initially focused on the smaller size cars, and that gave them reputation. So, people found that small Japanese cars excellent value for money. So, you see, this value for money then becomes a mantra, and once you build your reputation and you become as famous as Toyota in that small car segment, then you start expanding, you start offering bigger cars, and that is how the Japanese manufacturers almost destroyed the US auto industry. And today all the Japanese companies put together are far ahead of most of the other Western car companies put together. They did the same thing in two-wheelers, motorbikes. The motorbike manufacturers of Europe almost disappeared, but how they have come back, some of those two-wheeler manufacturers of Europe, is a strategy that we will look at in the next set of customers, or how a US motorcycle manufacturer came back and created a cult will be our next topic, and this is the strategy of a market niche operator. So, look at, for example, Harley Davidson in US. In spite of all the challenges offered by the Yamahas and Kawasaki's of this world, the Japanese manufacturers, who were extremely successful in destroying the entire European two-wheeler industry, now not only retained their customers, but actually created a wave. People often call it a cult. So, Harley Davidson became a cult product. That means owners of Harley Davidson take pride not only in the performance of that particular product or features, they actually focus on the lifestyle, the values represented by Harley Davidson. So, they have Harley Davidson Club, they have not only the motorcycle, but they have all kinds of dresses and other merchandise that are used by Harley Davidson fans. They have annual festivals of Harley Davidson motorcycle race, or often they are called processions. They deck up their Harley Davidson in so many different ways, they decorate their own device. So, it is like it actually almost mentally in the mind of owners become their personal horse, and it of course offers certain features, high power, extremely rugged performance. So, there are people who own Harley Davidson, they may be an accountant, maybe a manager in a highly placed position in a large company, but at weekends they don their leather jackets and leather pants and go out with their buddies and go on a weekend trip somewhere distant with their Harley Davidson. So, they have created something what we call the biker cult. So, this is the strategy, which is the strategy of the next stage, which is the market nicher. So, here you become focused on a particular type of market. This is the market, as in case of Harley Davidson, the market of high power, high performance bikes which are for hobby riders, or Harley Davidson has an excellent market segment where they actually offer it to police forces and armed forces who need actually very high performance for certain situations. So, there are Harley Davidson meant for them, which is kind of a professional use, and then Harley Davidson for private owners, which is more for a hobby weekend use, and for almost like a group of fan club following a film star. So, that is how the whole market development takes. So, in the market, if you are able to develop a market niche and you are able to dominate it by your focus strategy, then you can actually it will be a narrow, it will not be a volume oriented game. So, the number of Harley Davidson sold will be fewer than the number of other normal motorcycles sold, but Harley Davidson's margins will always be very good. You can see in India the same thing happening with Eicher and this Royal Enfield. So, Royal Enfield Bullet actually had was a dying brand, and with excellent strategy, almost emulating the Harley Davidson in the Indian context, the Royal Enfield Bullet has now made a very strong comeback and has one of the best performances in the two-wheeler industry in India in terms of margins. So, the point is that the market niche strategy, you have to be more focused on your customers' deep likes and dislikes. You have to make the product almost personal, and if you are able to do that, then you can dominate that small segment and make excellent margin. So, you can be a very efficient producer, profit oriented, but profit coming from offering highly superior tailored set of values for the customer. So, specialization is the key at this kind of strategy level. So, we need to therefore balance the strategy often. So, you have to be on one hand focused on the competition in the early stage, or on the other strategies like we discussed, the strategy of the market leader or strategy of the market challenger. That is a competition oriented strategy, but the market niche is a customer centered strategy, and companies need to make a balance depending on the life cycle of the industry, depending on the overall competition map, and also superimposing on that emerging technology maps and emerging customer values and lifestyle maps. So, all these, the competition map, the technology map and the values and lifestyle map, these three sets of evolutions need to be balanced in a dynamic fashion to create a winning product strategy. The strategy of combining features and services, hardware and software, tangible and intangible. Now, this idea about disruption which we discussed earlier can also be seen in terms of another interesting strategic terminology called the threat of substitution. So, remember therefore, the threat of substitution can come from a close competitor, the threat of substitution can come from a distant peripheral customer. So, Apple, who was a computer manufacturer, was not considered as a really true competition by phone manufacturers. They did not see the popularity wave of iPod, which was considered as a computer peripheral at that stage. That growth, they were blind to that growth in many ways, and they did not see the iPhone coming with that strength. And one big win for iPhone happened because of iTunes, the exceptional service which was perfected on the iPod, and now created a value bundle of product features and services of tangible and intangible that was way ahead of many other competitors, and created its own cult and created its own followers, fans. So, an iPhone user will find it very hard to move away from iPhone and go to other options. So, therefore, substitution can sometimes happen at the growth stage if you come up with an exceptionally low cost, as happened in case of the Japanese cars or motorcycles. Usually this cost based substitution comes from the lower side of the market, but then it can rapidly expand towards the highest level. but the substitution can also come through a completely new type of technological evolution, as happened in case of the cameras that we discussed. So, we will now in the following session take up therefore understanding deeply customers, because ultimately all product development strategies, research and development, design and development must come from not your laboratory, not your designers or product managers' imagination, but from deeper and wider understanding of where your customers are going. That is the key source of true competitive advantage. So, our next session will be on understanding customers. Thank you.